Michael Carrick's stint at Middlesbrough has had many highs and lows, from getting to the playoffs and almost getting promoted to losing key players like Akpom and Morgan Rogers. Overall, they've been a very inconsistent side for the 2 years that Carrick's been there. Ultimately, they're doing very poorly at the moment. They're in another bad run. 1 win, 1 draw and 6 losses is how their last 8 matches look, and 5 losses in the last 5. There's been rumours that Carrick is potentially getting sacked at Middlesbrough. The board are thinking about it, and I'm not totally surprised because with the squad at his disposal, he should be doing better. And this is going to be a pivotal run in their season because they were looking like the 5th best team in the league, obviously behind Sunderland, Sheffield United, Burnley and Leeds. But all of a sudden, they're sitting closer to mid-table than the playoffs, and their run of form is dreadful. I found Michael Carrick's stint at Middlesbrough to be really interesting because he took over from Chris Wilder. He transitioned the style of football from a 5-3-2 to a 4-2-3-1. It was a bit of a lopsided 4-2-3-1 though, because the right back had took him. The left back, who was Ryan Giles, who had an electric season, was basically a left winger, with Isaiah Jones on the right wing, and then duo with Akpom at attacking midfielder and Conway and Archer at striker was deadly. And I think from that iteration of Carrick's Middlesbrough 2 years ago, there's probably only like 5 or 6 players that are still there. Akpom went to Ajax, they've had Morgan Rogers come and go, and most recently their top striker, Latte Lath, went to Atalanta in the MLS. So the key things which we know about Carrick's system is that it's very attacking. They'll want to explore all areas of the pitch and run at defences and pass through them, and they want to hold on to the ball, which often leaves them with a very leaky defence because as they're pushing more players forward, it leaves them a bit more exposed. And they're an aggressive side. If they lose the ball, they want to win it back. If they've got the ball, they want to push forward. In terms of tactics, it's a 4-2-3-1. As I say, usually the left back, who's Giles or Borges, pushes forward. The right back in Aylin or Dijksteel will sit back. The CDMs, which in the last match was Morris and Hackney, they're like yin and yang. One of them will push forward in more of a box-to-box, box crashing role. The other one will hold back a bit and dictate play for if they have to recycle it. And usually it's a 4-2-3-1 where the cam's basically a shadow striker. Akpom got over 20 goals in that first season with Michael Carrick playing at cam. And usually the striker is also quite a clinical player, so that's normally where the bulk of the goals come from. In this current iteration of Middlesbrough have 2 good strikers up front in Conway and Iheanacho and Tommy Conway, both signed this season. But we've had a bit of an overview of their squad. We've had a bit of a look at the tactics. We've had a look at where Carrick has gone well with Borough and what his key moments have been since he joined. But I feel like there's a list of things which is definitely holding him back. So I just want to start by saying this is his first job as a manager. And he's 2 years into it and he's learning on the job. But there's a slight issue there because he's learning on the job, but so are a lot of his players. One that I want to highlight is Ben Doak, who's on loan from Liverpool. He's a right winger who's bow-footed. He can go down the byline, he can cut in. He's got a very good end product. But he's in his early 20s or late teens, and he's having a rough patch at the moment. He started off the season electric, but at the moment his form has gone downhill a little bit. I feel like that's quite telling of Carrick's managerial career and Carrick's Borough, that a key player that they've got in on loan can't carry it through for the whole season and is having a sticky patch. Although their ceiling is very high, I strongly believe that they're in the top 2 best teams in the league with Leeds when they're playing well. Their floor's also very low. They're 16th for goals conceded in the division, and if you want to be pushing for the playoffs, you've got to have a top 10 defence. You know what they say, attacks win your games, defences win your titles / promotion, and Carrick's Borough have never really had solid foundations and a solid defence to really attack the division in the top 6. And I don't think it's down to the fact that they have a poor defence, because Luke Ayling at right back, although he's definitely past his prime, is a good player. At centre-backs, they've just signed Edmondson from Ipswich, and then they've also got Rav Vandenberg, Dale Fry or Lenihan, who can also play at centre-back. So they've got a good array of centre-backs, and I feel like it's to the point now where Carrick really needs to work out why his defence is so leaky and how to make it stronger, because they play a very aggressive style of football. Is it the fact that his defenders are not suited to that style? If it is, he needs to adapt slightly. It's also really interesting for what the Borough owner does from now, because January, they've gone hard. They've signed Ilan Jr. on loan from Aston Villa, who's a young prospect who they signed for a lot of money from Juventus. They also signed Ryan Giles back, who had an electric start to his career playing for Carrick's Middlesbrough. Iheanacho signed, and he's not had a good season for a few years now, but he's looked sharp and he's slowly getting there. Also signing Whittaker from Plymouth. He's had a very poor season this year, but we know from 2 years previously, Championship last season, before that in League One, that he's a very, very good right winger who cuts onto his left foot and he can score from a whole range of shots. And Mark Travers has been signed in net because of a bit of a goalkeeper crisis that they've got. Semi Dieng's out injured. And he was really good for Bournemouth a couple of years ago when they got promoted with Scott Parker. But he's not looked that good at Borough so far. He's looked a bit shaky and he's definitely a bit rusty. An example that I want to show is in the recent loss against Bristol City, where Borough collapsed from having a 1-0 lead to losing 2-1. The Bristol City player is running down the right wing with the ball, and Borough's defence already doesn't look that set because Dijksteel has pushed on so much at right back. He pushes to the byline, he crosses it in, and at the back post is Bristol City's left wing back, and nobody's really closing down either him or the player who's about to take the shot for Bristol City, and Earthy. And Earthy gets the ball in the 6-yard box. Why is he being allowed to shoot from there? And that's the way that Bristol City got back into the game. The second goal was a free kick, so you can't really argue it. It was a rebound from a free kick from Earthy again. I'd say that I'm a bigger watcher of the Championship than I am of the Premier League, so I'm really torn on whether Carrick should be staying at Middlesbrough or going, because I feel like, as I say, the highs are so good, but he's so inconsistent and the lows can be so, so bad. And I've put together a little list of managers who could potentially replace him just because I wanted to work out, if he goes, who will they get in? So one manager I've scouted out is John Mousinho from Portsmouth. He got them promoted last season. With a very poor squad, he looks to potentially be keeping them up this season. He's young, speaks the speak, good manager. Another manager is Russell Martin. He obviously got Southampton promoted last season and then sacked this season. He has a lot of people having opinions on him because he plays such a possession-heavy brand of football. He got the result last season of promotion, and look at how Southampton are doing this season. The squad maybe wasn't as good as people think. And Rob Edwards is another manager I've scouted out. He'd probably be the third of 3 choices for me because I'm not 100% sure on how good he is still. Obviously, he got Forest Green promoted, and then he got Luton promoted. This season at Luton has really made me question, is he a 3-5-2 merchant, and is he that diverse tactically? I'm not sure. So with all of this in mind, what I've gone through in this video, is Carrick the right man for Middlesbrough? Let me know down in the comments. A bonus point for if you can tell me who should replace him if they were to sack him. Thank you very much for watching. Watch my recent video that I did on why Leicester are doing so poorly in the Premier League. Might be joining Middlesbrough in the Championship next season, but thank you very much for watching. Catch you in the next one.